What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Je Docteur Movie. It's the French version. So they say. Back with another episode. Of course, we just got through some full moon madness. So you know what happens there, right? You got to keep doing some full moon movies just because you're in the spirit of things. And we are covering the 1994 horror comedy movie Shrunken Heads. This is definitely one of those I avoided just from the artwork, but you know what? It's on Tubi, and I said, what the heck? Right? And check this movie out. So it's everything you expect from Full Moon, I guess, but there's some real good surprises in this too. Not that I'm saying that it's a good movie by any means, but it's still pretty fun. But the surprises is stuff like this. Directed by Richard Elfman. Now, for you that don't know, Richard Elfman is the older brother of Danny Elfman. That's right, the composer that we hear on everything. And I love Danny Elfman, even though pretty much all of his theme songs kind of sound the same for movies, but I'm a huge Oingo Boingo fan, right? And what's funny is Richard Elfman, the older brother, actually started, they weren't called Oingo, they were called the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, right? And they were just a bizarre group. Now, I mean, I know Oingo Boingo was bizarre enough, but this was even more bizarre because it was all, 4 or 5 guys with marching drums and trombones, and I mean, it was really, really odd. Flying around in, fake cardboard rockets and, really wild stuff. Also, Richard Elfman directed Forbidden Zone, which I'm going to cover on this show. Super cult classic flick right here. So there's no words to describe Forbidden Zone. So you may want to go ahead and try to check that one out before I review it, because I don't know that I can do it any sort of justice. It's that bizarre, right? So not that I like to skip around and talk about other movies, but you need to check out Forbidden Zone. Possibly the weirdest movie you've ever seen. Just gonna throw that out there. That's 100% true. Could be the weirdest movie you've ever seen. Doesn't mean you'll like it, but you'll definitely say, this is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen, right? So there you go. That's my pitch on that. But yeah, we're directed by Richard Elfman, and the music is composed. Talking about a combination. We've got some Richard Band in here, and we got some Danny Elfman. What a shock, right? So yeah, he got his brother to do some music for this movie. Let's talk about the synopsis for this killer of a movie. I don't know why I just said that. I don't know. Well, because there's killing in it, right? It goes, a witch doctor revives 3 teenage boys who were killed by a local crime boss as bodiless mini Avengers to challenge local bullies. That's right. This could have been allowed back during Bully Week, but it didn't make the cut. And yeah, this movie is about dealing with bullies. So let's talk about this cast, because if there's anything to really talk about in this movie, it's the cast. So first and foremost, I give Meg Foster a hard time. But Meg Foster is in this movie, and I didn't even know it because I didn't really pay attention to the credits. But after the fact, it's actually the other way around. I kept looking for Meg Foster and couldn't find her. Now, again, I might not have been paying the best of attention, but again, I know I'm pretty hard on her. We've messed with her a lot on Hellming. But this could be, she's been in a lot of stuff, but this could be the crowning achievement of her career. Because I did not know that Meg Foster plays Big Mo the main crime boss in this movie. She's got a very distinct look, right, with the eyes and everything. Well, I guess they put the contacts in, changed things up. Not until I go back and kind of review this movie again do I realize, holy crap, that is her. And awesome job, Meg. Again, this could be your crowning achievement because had me fooled. But yeah, you got Meg Foster in this. You got Julius Harris, who is Mr. Sumatra. I think that's his name, Sumatra. Mr. Sumatra. And plays a very big part in this movie. We got Eric Egan in this. Very young Eric Egan. That's the most part I really wanted to talk about. We do have Milton Elfman in there. This Elfman thing, it's an Elfman family effort because I think their parents are even in this. A brother, so you got a lot of people in here. You got Don Michael Paul in this too, which, whoopity-doo, right? Sorry if you're listening. But, again, some pretty solid actors. Should be a solid movie, right? Well, there's many ways to describe a bowel movement, and solid can be one of them. This movie starts off with these three young boys, maybe in their early teens, big comic book fans. They're hanging out, they're reading comics. They see, actually it's two kids, and they see another kid getting bullied. And they go and try to help him out. And there's this bully beating up on the kid, trying to take his bicycle, I guess. But apparently this bully works for the crime boss of the town. And this guy goes around and he's collecting insurance money, all that kind of stuff, right? Doing all the lower hanging fruit type jobs. And ends up getting in a little quarrel with these kids that are way younger than he is. Because he's probably, 18, 19, maybe even 20, supposed to be. And he's messing with these kids a lot younger. And also this guy has a girlfriend who is played by Rebecca Herbst. I forgot to mention her. She's Sally. And one of our teens really takes a liking to her, right? Even though she's hooked up with Mr. Bad Guy. And there's another confrontation with these kids later on, but they're all hanging around this newsstand where they get their comics and stuff. And the guy that runs it is Julius Harris, Mr. Sumatra. And they hear that he used to work in the police squad. No, I heard he used to work in voodoo. So you get all these things, and the answer is yes. I think even when they ask him all these things at the same time, and he just says yes to all of them at the same time. And so these kids end up sneaking in to the coven where the bad guys are. Or what is it? They get kidnapped for some reason. And our bully kidnaps them, puts them in this room. Well, inside of this room is a bunch of documents, receipts, important paperwork, right? That the crime boss has to have. Well, the kids break loose, and when they do, they take these documents and stuff with them. It's just a big handbag, really. And when they found out they escaped, the big boss tells his bully, "You got to go take care of business," and gives him a gun. Says, "You gotta go quiet this down because we can't let the word get out. We can't let these receipts or whatever get around town." So yeah, the bully finds the kids, shoots them in cold blood out in the street, and the young girl that's his girlfriend sees the whole thing. So now she's hurt, and she's actually kind of taking a liking, like I said, to the boy that likes her, and they're secretly trying to hook up at a young age. It's a different kind of hookup than older kids, right? But there truly is some genuine feelings there. So when she sees them getting killed, she's upset. Goes to the funeral, all that stuff of her boyfriend, even though all three of them have died. And Mr. Sumatra basically cuts their heads off, dips them in a big bowl of stew, and makes shrunken heads out of them that he gives spirits into, and they go out and they get revenge. So you got one that, like, I don't know, shoots lasers out of its mouth. You got one that carries a switchblade in its mouth all the time, which is freaking hilarious. I mean, that's all it does. Carries a switchblade. And then the other one, I think, just kind of flies around and, you know, who knows? I can't remember what it does. But this is your avenging force. And whoever that they come across and that are part of the gang that they're fighting, you know, they'll cut them with the switchblade and shoot them in the head with lasers. And when these people die, they come back as zombies that are now under Mr. Sumatra's powers. So he ends up building up this little army of zombies and these 3 shrunken heads to go fight the bad guys to get revenge. Even though he don't really need revenge, he didn't die. So, strange twist. The girl also gets involved. And there you go. You got a zombie army of about, I wouldn't say an army, a squad of about, I don't know, maybe 12 zombies fighting Meg Foster dressed as a dude, Big Mo, which it's really unclear if he's a dude or a girl, which I think is part of the whole point of the character. And, you know, a big fight ensues, and then, I don't know, there's a big car chase. Big Mo and his girlfriend, or her girlfriend, get in a car with the bully, and they're all driving down the road, and the shrunken heads are chasing them, and the one with the knife is trying to slash the tires while they're driving down the road. Sumatra's falling behind in a car, and they come to a stop. And, well, they come to a stop because one of the heads, which I think is the main head of Eric Egan's, it flies to the windshield of the car, busts through the windshield and goes down the driver's throat, which is the bully, and electrocutes him to death. I mean, that's kind of what happens here. And then Big Mo and everybody gets out of the car, and she's going to shoot the main girlfriend, and Big Mo's actual girlfriend stops that from happening by grabbing the gun, and they shoot up in the air. And then, one of the shrunken heads comes up and shoots Big Mo right in the head with electricity, and that's kind of the end. And then you go back to Sumatra's place, and they're wrapping up the zombies, like putting gauze and stuff on them, making them like mummies or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of it. And then the heads go floating out in space. And I don't know if they were planning for a sequel or what, but that's pretty much this movie. It's interesting to talk about. Don't really know that I'll ever watch it again, but there you go. Again, I know it's full moon. You may be a fan of this movie, and that's totally fine. But for me, it's just lacking that. With something like this, you really either have to really take it over the top and make it so bizarre that you can't help but like it, or it's just gonna suck. It's a little above sucky land, but it's just not. It's not memorable enough, right? I'm struggling trying to remember parts of the movie. That's how unmemorable this movie really is. Except for Meg Foster. Have to give it to her, man. I'm telling you. It's impressive. But that's my take on this one. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. Just didn't really care for it. And that's kind of where I stand on this one. If you've got ideas for movies you want me to cover or talk about, or conversations you want to have, you just let me know. And we will have that conversation, or we will talk about that movie. Kind of looking at some options of maybe having a few guests come on and do a few things. I'm not there yet, but we'll see. That might happen pretty soon for some odd and end things. Not something I'd want to do all the time, because again, I'm driving in my car, and controlling that is enough. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed this episode. It's on Tubi for free, so if you want to check it out, you can. Watch it at your own risk. Till then, folks, we will check you later.